Hey guys, so we are wrapping up the first week in Self-Awareness Month here at Becoming Untethered. And I wanted to kind of orient us to where we're at and kind of tell you what's coming up next, right? So this week was the introduction, and we discussed what self was and why it's important. And the first order of business was to discuss true self, right? We don't really think of ourselves as our personalities, our fears, our likes, our dislikes, our wants, our needs. Turns out that's wrong. Turns out that we ourselves are actually the beings who are observing all of that. We're just sitting here looking at it all. But it's so easy to get caught up, which is why it's so important to recognize that concept. The fact that you're not your thoughts and your feelings gives you so much more power over how you react to things and how you think about things. And it's just amazing, the amount of goodness that gives you. So we talked about the true self as that. We talked about self as in terms of what it's not, which is we talked about, kind of went over heart and mind, feelings and thoughts. And then we discussed the psyche, which was a really, we could go for years for that, but just kind of told you what it was, and that was pretty much it. And why it's important to understand it. So, and the reason it's important to understand it is because once we observe all these things, we can identify these things, identify our responses, identify the things that are making us miserable, and change them. So in that identifying part, we talked about observing your thoughts and your feelings and your reactions, your behaviors and everything without judgment, which is so hard sometimes, right? Like, I know it's a negative affirmation, and I know a bunch of people who be like, don't say that, it is easy. And you're like, okay, it's easy. But the reality is that right now at this second, if you're suffering, especially if it's hard for everybody. I don't take this away from anyone. It is difficult for most people not to judge themselves. But it's even harder, in my opinion, for people who are challenged by mood disorders, right? Depression, anxiety, bipolar 2, whatever. That's my special cocktail. But you have your own. But I think all of that has in common, all the mood disorders kind of have in common, is like, there's a good dose of self-hatred in there, especially with depression. And it becomes very hard not to judge yourself. The thing about judging yourself, and I talked a little bit about this incident that happened with me, surrounding judging yourself and forgiving yourself. We've talked about it before, but we'll talk about it again sometime soon. But the thing is, you stop yourself. You get yourself stuck. If you do not give yourself a break and you constantly criticize yourself and you're constantly judging everything you're doing, you don't let yourself move forward in life. And that's exactly what I've done. And that's exactly why I'm here, which is another story. So I can tell you firsthand, you can ruin your life if you continue to judge yourself. And it's hard. It's taken me a long, long time to just silence the critic, right? You know what I mean? Like I still it's like always going to be a journey, right? But I still am working with these feelings of, I don't know if I want to go into this in this video, but I've discussed them before. I get those anxiety attacks, and that's all about judging myself. So the next day we went into discussing what patterns and triggers are, which follows naturally from observing ourselves without judgment, because we start to look at what our behaviors, our reactions, our thoughts are, and start seeing the patterns that they form and seeing what sets them off. Now, this is all so important. I feel like it's so obvious why it's important, but just to drive the point home, once we identify these, we have a greater self-awareness or psyche awareness, whatever you want to call it. And once we understand some of the underlying issues, we see the symptoms, we can start to look at the issues. And we're just going to remember to be compassionate with ourselves, which is such bullshit. When you're depressed, you're like, okay, yeah. But I have been severely depressed in my life. I lost over 10 years, guys. I lost my youth. I lost all my money. I lost jobs. I lost my housing. I lost I mean, that was part of the problem, self-respect. But I mean, I lost everything because I couldn't have compassion for myself. Think about that when you're being hard on yourself. Okay? You don't deserve it, and it can ruin your life. Whether it's on as big a, like, blow up Richter scale as my life is. That's not the point. The point is, even if it's a little thing, it's holding you back. It's holding you back. And you don't deserve it. So, as I've become more self-aware, sorry, I'm looking at my notes over here. As I've become more self-aware, it has become easier to work with the things that were causing me problems. These reactions I have, like, I didn't know that I had the choice on how to react about things. I didn't even know how to. I still don't really know how to react. I'm sort of one of those freeze people. It's fight, flight, freeze, and I've heard fawn too, which is interesting. But I'm a freeze person, which is so dangerous. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I freeze in danger, so it's good for me. But that's a pattern. And there are a million other patterns that when you start observing your behaviors and your thoughts, you're like, oh my God, every 5 seconds. Like every 5 seconds. Oh my God. Like I really, honestly, this past week, when I was like, okay, I'm going to really, really pay attention to what I'm doing, which I thought I was doing the past 3 years. It was every 5 seconds. I'm like, wow. And I journaled about it a lot, and I'm still journaling. I'm actually like in the middle of journaling. I'm like, I got to get this video done. I'm going to go back to journaling in a minute. There are a million other things I have to do, but you know what is really important? My mental health. So I'm prioritizing it because this is what happens. And I know this looks nice. It's beautiful, and I am grateful, and we'll discuss gratitude. I am so grateful for so much in my life right now. The stuff that has allowed me to take a minute, and people who have supported me. Like, please don't get me wrong. I am beyond grateful and appreciative of everything I have. That being said, I'm living on my parents' living room floor. Please. I want my own place and an income and some sort of fulfillment, and to be able to, there's a lot of stuff I want. Psyche, but still, I want to fulfill my purpose in life, and I can't really do that on my parents' floor. So I've been journaling and prioritizing my mental health. Other things that you can do is, like I was saying, is meditate. Meditation is a big deal because you stop and you breathe. And this is the most basic kind of meditation. It's not easy, basic, but not easy. You pay attention to your breath. One of the exercises, this is like 9-minute video so far. We're going to go 10 minutes. Great. One of the exercises Thich Nhat Hanh gives in his book, which I can't remember the title of right now, but it is a meditation book and you should totally look it up, is breathing in, I'm aware I'm breathing in, breathing out, I'm aware I'm breathing out. And do that 5 times and then just say in, out, and just watch your breath. And your mind will go other places really easily all the time. Mine does too. Just bring it back. Don't judge. Everybody does that. It would be weird if all of a sudden you could just focus and not pull your focus away from your breath. Your brain wants to, we'll talk about this more, but your brain's like, no, I need to talk. It's going to talk to you. And you're going to get distracted. And that's fine. And you can say, you know what? I got distracted. Come back here. One thing I'm finding useful that I learned recently is to put my awareness behind my eyes. So anytime I find myself distracted and I'm trying to be present in the moment, I'm like, oh, nope, back behind my eyes, back behind my eyes. And it's just bringing yourself back in, because when your attention is other places, your awareness is other places, and you are your awareness. So that's what I kind of wanted to round up. Oh my God, it's such a long video. That's what I wanted to round. It's long. Sorry guys, it's a long one. Not compared to my usual ones. See, this is the problem, is I just start talking. Anyway, one day I'll have people cut these things down. So that's what happened this week. It's sort of a foundational thing where I'm trying to do these things. I mean, no one's following along right now. I get that. People are coming in and out of the videos and stuff like that. I'm just trying to make this content as useful and valuable to everyone as possible, but especially, you know, my peeps, my mood disorder people. Everybody though, because I started that way. We're going to cut that thought off and put it aside and finish this up. So, next week we are discussing practical tips and tricks and all that fun stuff to become more self-aware. So how to do it. We talked about what it is this week, a little bit of how to do it. Next week, how to become more self-aware and what you can do in your day-to-day life that's not going to like interrupt everything and be something that you can't do. So that is what I'm going to say, and I'm going to let you guys off the hook now. Do I have to do this whole thing over again? Anyway, I'm just going to say, even if you, and I've said this before in these videos, even if you go way too long on your video and you're worried because no one is going to watch it, but you don't want to go back and do it again because you've tried it 5 times now, you can always choose to have a grateful day.